there we go. Awesome. So take it away, Peter Henry.
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'm glad you're on the call tonight. And I was just saying earlier, I'm at a high school lacrosse game. And right now, the home team is scoring a lot of goals. So if you hear, um, what is this? This isn't Black Sabbath. But if you hear some classic rock or some cheering in the background, I apologize. Um, Thank you for being host families for our next new member class. I like to tell folks when we use that word host and we think about what it means to show hospitality. When someone comes to our house, we greet them, we welcome them, we orient them to life at the house. We make sure they know where things are. And if there are other people at our home, especially people that we know better, we make introductions and we kind of help facilitate connections. And to some extent, that's kind of what you're going to be as host families for some of our new members. Some of you are relatively new members yourself. And I say relative, meaning maybe it's been 3, 4 years. Others have been here for a long time. But chances are you've joined something in recent memory. And I always tell folks that if you imagine what does it mean to be a good host family, ask yourself what was a positive experience you had being welcomed to a group, someone who translated the lingo, someone who introduced you to their own friends who were part of that group, someone who checked in every now and then to make sure you were finding your way and getting your footing. If you remember a positive experience when you joined an organization or a group, part of your calling as a host family is to emulate the best of what you experienced yourself. And with that said, a couple of things about hosting and membership in churches. I haven't read any statistics for a while, but once upon a time, when folks studied a few things a little bit more, we knew that for every 6 weeks that someone didn't do something other than worship, we cut in half the likelihood that they were going to stay a member of the church. So every 6 weeks, the likelihood they would stay a member was cut in half if they weren't doing anything other than worship. And so that's one of the roles that you play. If you have somewhere in the life of the church where you're engaged, where you feel fed, or where you feel connected, inviting new members to those things is an important step in getting them to feel that sense of connection beyond worship. It sounds a little trite, I know, but when I think of the 1980s and I think of a sitcom called Cheers, the tagline was where everybody knows your name. Having people know you and know your name is part of feeling connected. Ben Slay knows what I'm about to say next. We met with an expert in youth ministry about 2 months ago, and they said, when it comes to what kids want from youth group and life in general, they want to be noticed, they want to be named, and they want to be known. I would say that's true for all of us throughout our whole life. And so host families hopefully are the first place where our new members feel like they're noticed, they're named, and they're known. And not that it's all up to you. I do like to tell host families, there's a combination of you, the new families, the Holy Spirit, the wider congregation. So it's not like it's all up to you, but you can be a facilitator and be a guide and interpreter, and be that good host to help people find their footing and get connected, and to kind of help with the sense of timing and rhythm, because ministers can sometimes speak in lots of vague, fuzzy terms. That's why Stephanie has that job description and a little bit of a timeline. So I'm going to let her kind of walk and talk you through that document, and then I'll circle back at the end with a couple other things, and she and I can take questions together.
Yeah, so this is just basic logistics of how things are going to go. The most important thing, and can you guys all see that on your screen? Kind of. You have it anyway, in
Yes.
front of you. Good. So the most important thing is to be at the class on Sunday at 8:30 in the congregation house. We are going to have about a 15-minute gathering time from 8:30 to 8:45. There's going to be coffee and breakfast foods, and that's the time when you'll get together with your new member, and hopefully go get some food and get some coffee together and go ahead and get into that introduction circle, because you guys are going to be with them for the first hour. We're going to start the class right at 8:45. And actually, we're going to have to get done before 9:45 because we're sharing that space with the Covenant Sunday School class. So we're going to try to get the introductions done between 8:45 and about 9:35. And I will send you a script between now and Sunday that you'll use to introduce yourself. Because we'll have so many people in that circle. We have 25 new members, and then there's almost 25 of you. So there's a lot of people that have to introduce themselves in that little short amount of time. So they have a script that they're going to follow that's a little bit more detailed than what you're going to have. But I'll send you what you need to say before Sunday. And then there's also going to be members of the membership committee there and a couple of staff members who will say some really brief introductions about themselves as well. Um, but that's the most important one. The second one is on June 15th at 4 o'clock. Um, and I do realize now that that is Father's Day. But maybe that's a fun thing to do on Father's Day. Because what it is just 1 hour of just basically icebreakers and games and snacks. And then we send you home with some goodies. So, but that's just a pre-planned time that we'll have for you to get together with your new member. And then we're going to do another one later on in the year. So if you cannot make it in June for some reason, we're going to have another one later on that you'll be invited to. But other than that, it's basically up to you how you want this relationship to progress. We certainly don't expect you to be, their best friend necessarily, but if you give them a phone call and just check in with them and make sure that they have gotten acclimated to something like a Bible study or a Sunday school class. If you go to the same worship service, maybe offer to sit with them and worship sometimes. It's basically just up to you. So, Peter, I'm going to turn it back over to you. If you're still there and not cheering and dancing to Van Halen.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still here. I was walking for a moment and I
That's
couldn't find
okay.
the unmute button. Uh, One of the things that I just wanted to mention about the like checking in with folks. I mean, it's not a where are you or but it really is just making sure that they're finding their way and feeling all right about things um, and I think that call, especially a little bit later on, can be really important for if there is a new family who maybe isn't feeling as connected and maybe because we can sometimes see it when folks join, they're really active initially, but then maybe they take some steps back. And one of the worst things when folks take a step back is if nobody notices they've done that. And so that phone call to say, hey, wondering how you're doing, lets them know that they're noticed and that people want to see them there. So those kind of check-ins can be really important touch points for people. And because one of the knocks on churches, big churches, is that big churches have big back doors. We throw open our arms really wide and we throw open our doors really wide and say, yay! And then we don't notice when people slip out the back door and aren't there anymore. And we don't want to be that church. And when I say that, DCPC is not the world's largest church. We're not a mega church. A mega church is generally defined as 5,000 members or more. But at roughly 1,500 members, we are in the top 10% of congregations in the United States by size. So we're larger than 90% of the churches in America. And then when it comes to Presbyterian churches, PCUSA, we're probably in the top 0.5% of Presbyterian churches. So we're not small. And then, and I've used the word a couple of times, translate or guide. I think one of the things for people who are in large churches that we forget is that we've got our own language. We've got our own ways of doing things, and we forget they're not always readily transparent to everybody else. The example I always use that is a PW circle. Hey, that bulletin says something about a PW circle. Yeah. What's PW? It's Presbyterian women. And what's a circle? Well, a circle is a group that of women who get together, and sometimes it's more fellowship oriented, sometimes it's more Bible study oriented. But a PW circle is a women's fellowship group. But if no one's there to explain to someone what that means, it doesn't help that they just see the words PW circle in the bulletin, or if they just see the initials MNF, which stands for Men's Night Fellowship. So I often think about our host families being important for that that role of interpreting what goes on in the life of the church. And I think that's probably most of what I would have to say. Stephanie, you've heard me talk a couple of times to host families. Anything I've forgotten? Any notes you wanted me to hit that I didn't mention?
No, I think you hit it all. Yeah, we try to draw a fine line between caring about people and stalking people. So we're definitely not going to be stalkers,
Yeah.
but we do want to touch base with them and just let them know that we do care. So, are there any questions that have arisen from you guys? Or anything that's not clear about what Sunday looks like?
Do we know who our host? Do we know who we're dealing with? Do we know who our families are?
Well, you will.
Oh,
You
okay.
Do we know
obviously
who we're
don't
dealing
right
with?
now.
That's a great way to put that.
Yeah, some people already know their new members and some people do not. So between now and Sunday, and that's a good question. Between now and Sunday, I'm going to send you a
Okay.
document that is a pictorial biography of the whole class. So you'll know, you'll get to know them a lot before Sunday.
All
Yeah.
right.
And one of the interesting things about new members is that, some of you might have someone who's been around for a little while. And then some of you might have folks who literally just showed up about a month ago and went, yeah, I'm in.
Yes.
I mean, I remember a friend of mine at my church in Michigan, and, he worshiped for years. And when I was in his presence one time, when someone said, well, you're a member, right? He goes, oh, no, I'm not a member. And they said, why aren't you a member? He goes, well, I don't want to be asked to serve on a committee. So when he joined the church, and he finally did, like, no big deal. Like, his host family, talk about an easy gig. Like, Mike was in worship every Sunday, was already part of the men's softball team. I don't know if this new member class has anybody who's been around for years, but again, some of your new members might need extra attention, and some might be like, we're good, and it might be just a check in every now and then, and they're off and running. So you never know. I'm not sure about our whole list for this time.
Yeah, we have some of both. Yeah.
By the way, I like the fact, Derek and Megan have been in 2 different cars.
They have. This has been fun to watch. Thank you for being here, Derek and Megan.
I'm impressed.
Hypothetically speaking, for those of us with a gaggle of teens and preteens being driven around places, should we be bringing them to the 8:30 meeting? Because that might not go over super well.
That is completely up to you. I mean, I wouldn't say that they need to sit there for the hour, no. But if you want to come and feed them and then send them off somewhere fun, like, I don't know.
It's going to be a tough sell.
Yeah.
Derek, I will answer as a parent of a current teenager. I would say that your children would be fine being at home.
Yes.
Well, it might be a game day decision. We'll see if we can get one of the 3.
Right. But for the June 15th, if you're willing to come on Father's Day, that would definitely be fun for the kids, for sure.
Are you kidding? I'm coming alone for Father's Day. I'm leaving the kids at home.
There you go. Yeah. Either one. Either way you want to play that.
Do the Mays have the Knickles?
Oh, the Nichols? No. The Mays have. Who do the Mays have?
Our family also has
Adam and Catherine Parks.
Okay.
And they have an 8th grader and a 4th grader. So that's why we weren't sure if we needed to bring our respective children.
Gotcha. Yes.
Well, other questions?
Just let us know whatever we can do.
Cool.
All right. So we'll see you all on Sunday.
Yeah. And thank you all for doing this. Like,
not
every church, number one, not every church welcomes new members quarterly, let alone 25 new members. And not every church has the wherewithal to be able to grab existing members and say, will you be a host or a partner? Like, we don't take for granted both the infusion of people as well as the people who are willing to make those connections and shepherd. So thank you, because again, it's not all up to you, but having somebody who knows you and someone who welcomes you, like, it matters. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
We'll see you all on Sunday.
Before we leave, show us your puppy. Is that a brand new puppy, Elizabeth?
Oh no, she'll be 6. Bailey.
Can you?
I don't know if you can see her. She's
Uh,
big.
Oh my goodness.
She's our big baby.
I saw her nose poking up there, and I just had to see that baby.
Yeah, she's 105 pounds. So.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That is a big
She
baby.
thinks she's a lap dog sometimes, but you know,
That's awesome.
it's all relative. Here she comes again.
There
Yeah.
she is.
So yeah.
we'll see everybody on Sunday.
All right. You guys
Thank
take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.